Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. So there is a petition that's going on right now that you may or may not have heard of, but basically there is a petition that's floating around right now in order to try to now even more further push for the $2,000 monthly stimulus checks that you guys probably have heard of. This petition was also interestingly started by just a regular, I believe, restaurant owner out in Denver, Colorado. So essentially it's a petition that was started not even by now Congress, so we're not talking about someone that's playing political games or anything like that, but essentially just someone like us. Essentially a just regular, ordinary American citizen who does not have any affiliation to Congress. That person has officially started a petition, and the even more interesting breaking news is that that petition has now officially reached 2 million signatures. And I think that the fact that it's also getting even more publicity right now as we're speaking, you might have even heard it covered in elsewhere, but it's because of that reason. It means that there's possibly even more hope for and even more people to try to potentially sign it. And I'll probably also put that petition maybe inside of the description or the comments so you guys can take a look at it. I believe it's also updated live so you can kind of see who, who's signing it. I think it's like if you want to make it public, it'll show you, but if you want to sign it privately, it still counts at the end of the day. But we're going to talk about all of that stuff because we do also have relatively new information about how the negotiations are going, so I do want to share that. So as always, we're going to get started right on the spot, but as always, before we begin, remember to smash the like button if you guys can, because it always does help to support the videos and channel. Consider subscribing if you guys are interested in videos similar to this, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all. It's always great to say hi to new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So a really quick recap, I know most people know this, but really just in cases, is that in Biden's speech, which literally just went on last week, the story about what really ended up happening there is that most of us really anticipated, and we really all thought, every news outlet, every individual, we all pretty much hoped and expected that he was likely going to try to talk about the answer to whether or not he wanted to do the fourth stimulus check. In the end, I think all that really ended up happening is that he mentioned about how he wanted to do whatever it took to basically try to speed up the recovery as fast as we possibly can, that he was open to relief. However, in the very end, he actually never gave a very clear answer about the fourth stimulus check. So the true answer is, it doesn't mean it's a yes, it doesn't mean it's a no, it just means that there's no answer. So we don't really know the specific situation, but the great news is that it's definitely still very much on the table. Now, the petition that's going on right now is that it's pretty much a petition that was started essentially by a restaurant owner from Denver, Colorado, as we just mentioned. So basically someone just like us, so not someone that has any kind of political bias to, try to play games or anything like that, just someone basically like us. And essentially is that the person basically started the petition, and as of yesterday, I believe, is that that petition has now officially reached 2 million signatures. And I do believe is that with lots of publicity going on, it's probably only to increase even more. I believe that the specific program inside of that petition is to basically do $2,000 monthly stimulus checks all the way until the very end of the pandemic for adults or single individuals, and then basically $1,000 stimulus checks to all kids. I believe is that they're hoping to make the requirement very similar to the first 3 stimulus check, so basically the $75,000 income requirement, the same exact thing. Now, in terms of what that actually specifically means when it comes to the end of the pandemic, I think the general idea is that if this ends up going through, or if some kind of variation, because keep in mind this is just a petition, so it's not even like a full-on written document, but I think the general idea is that in terms of what that actually means for the end of the pandemic is that they're probably going to do some kind of trigger system or just some kind of number or stat. This could be based on something such as like the pandemic case count, the unemployment rates, the job market, just some kind of statistic. And what they're going to use is that if that statistic hits a certain target number or threshold, that's when they basically will consider it as the very end of the pandemic. And the stimulus check program would basically go on all the way until that specific number is essentially reached. But I think the really overall relatively breaking and great news is that if you're able to have so many different people, specifically over 2 million people, it's relatively breaking news and actually a really huge accomplishment. The fact that someone's able to get 2 million people to sign a certain petition, especially even more true considering if that specific person who started the petition isn't even a famous individual. So this isn't like some kind of, like Kardashian situation where we can obviously start a petition about honestly anything, and just because if you happen to be a celebrity with like millions of followers, then it's very easy to just get your followers to literally just sign that particular petition. And if you have millions of followers, it's very easy. Because keep in mind is that for a lot of celebrities to start petitions, if that person happens to be a celebrity, it's actually really relatively easy to get 2 million signatures, and a celebrity could probably get that about almost anything. I mean, I'm sure that if Kim Kardashian wanted to start a petition to try to extend another season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it's probably very easy to try to get 2 million signatures. But if you're able to have a petition that was started by just a very common individual like us and get 2 million signatures on it, I think that's a pretty huge relatively breaking news accomplishment to really be able to see. And I think the even bigger thing is that because the person also doesn't have any kind of political bias, I think the real hope really is the fact that maybe if Congress ends up seeing this and maybe getting some level of attention, maybe they can possibly have an even greater push or support of it. I think a lot of times the general idea is that when it comes to the world of politics, every single person is going to be very biased in support of their party. So it's one of those things that it's sometimes really hard to work with, because regardless of whatever party you're in, it's a very biased world where as soon as you are part of one party and as soon as you meet someone else who is a part of another party, there's going to be conflict. They don't have to really know anything else about each other. They don't have to know anything about their policies. The fact when you have two people from separate parties try to meet up, there is going to be conflict. I think the hope is the fact that you have someone trying to preach for it who is not really a particular, at least not biasly directly, someone that works for Congress that belongs to a specific individual party. I think that the hope is that maybe this can kind of garner or get extra particular attention, especially when you have 2 million individuals that are now supporting this. Again, common individuals like that, and also a lot of politicians that also support it, because keep in mind now it's both the common individuals and the politicians that are now trying to really be able to push for the fourth round of stimulus checks. But overall, that's pretty much what I really just wanted to share in today's update. I think really going forward from here, the biggest thing really at this point is to really be able to see how far Congress and now the common individuals are able to maybe finally convince Biden, or just basically Congress as a whole, to maybe further push for fourth stimulus checks. And probably the even bigger one is to maybe eventually, hopefully, if we're able to finally find out what Biden wants. Because keep in mind is that he to this day has not given a very clear answer. So it basically means that it's still a question mark. So it can really truly go both ways. Maybe feel free to comment if you guys have a particular opinion about that, which way you think it's really going to swing. But that's pretty much what I really just wanted to cover in today's update. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Have an incredibly great start to the new month, because it's crazy to think we are now in the 2/3 mark of this year. We are now officially entering spring. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.